Welcome to a demonstration of RICS, the Randstad Independent Contractor System. Randstad partners with client companies to provide an automated, efficient approach to managing payment of independent contractors through the RICS system. For you, the independent contractor, this means streamlined invoicing and fast and efficient payment for time worked, invoiced fees, and expense reimbursement. Once the client manager has engaged you, he or she will invite you to register through RICS. After going through a one-time, quick registration process, on a weekly basis, you will submit your invoices to your client manager that include time worked, fees, and any expenses. This demonstration will walk you through how to set up your account with Randstad, enter invoices, and inquire about payment of invoices using the RICS system. You will receive an email sent to you by your client manager that includes access information to the RICS system. Simply click on the link in the email to begin your registration. Registration involves answering a few simple questions to set up your account with Randstad. This process should take about 10 minutes. Your client manager has already started by entering your name, email, and agreed to fees or rates as shown in the area under personal information. If required, there is an opportunity to make changes to your personal information later in the registration process. Enter your tax information, including your tax entity type, which is most commonly sole proprietor, and your taxpayer ID, which is most commonly your Social Security number. However, if you do have an EIN number, it would be entered in this field. Finally, read and acknowledge the agreement by clicking on the box. When you are ready, click on Forward to Required Forms. You are now brought to a page to enter your contact and banking information. Enter your name and phone number. It is important to enter your legal name, which may be different than the name submitted by your client manager. The phone number should be the primary phone number in which you can be contacted. If you know you are exempt from backup withholding, select this box. If you have questions related to this, more information can be found by clicking on the link or contact your tax advisor for guidance. Next, fill in your address. Continue by filling in your bank information for direct deposit. Finally, if you or your business falls into any of the categories listed in Part 5, select the appropriate box. Otherwise, select Other. Review the information, and if you are ready, click on Proceed to your user ID. On this page, you will be asked to create a user ID to access the system. The user ID you create is what you will use to log in to the RICS system. Your ID and password are case-sensitive and cannot contain any special characters. Your password must be at least 6 characters in length and contain at least 2 digits. Also, your password must be different than your user ID. Once you have entered your user ID and password, you are required to set up a security question to verify your identity in case you forget your password. Select your preferred security question and fill in an appropriate response. You may click on Terms and Conditions if you would like to read the terms and conditions for the system. To continue, click on Review Your Information. The final page of the registration process enables you to review all the information you have entered. If you have made a mistake or need to change the information, you should do so at this time. To make changes, click on the Back to Preferred User ID and navigate to the appropriate page to make the corrections. Re-enter any information that needs to be corrected and continue the process until you arrive at this page again. If all of your information is correct, review the statements under Submit Information, then electronically agree to the statements by clicking on I agree. Then, to complete the process, click on Submit. Now you have set up your account with Randstad. Randstad will review and approve your application. You will be notified via email of approval or if additional information or changes are required. Once your application is approved, you will receive this email notifying you that you can begin to submit time. As an independent contractor, you will be able to use the RICS system to enter your time, fees, and any approved expenses that you may incur. Click on the link in the email to access the system. You should save the page that loads as a favorite in your web browser. This is the login page for independent contractors. In the RICS system, you are also sometimes referred to as a supplier or a vendor. To begin, use the login information that you set up with Randstad when you registered. Enter your user ID and password, then click on the arrow to proceed. You are brought to this landing page. To enter an invoice, click on I see information, and then I see invoice entry and approval. You will be shown the time periods in which you may enter time. You may only enter time for the current week and previous 2 weeks. If you must enter time outside of that window, you should contact the Randstad Client Care Team. Click on the week ending date and approver that you wish to create an invoice for. The top of the screen lists the customer's name and pay period. Always validate this information before you proceed. Next, you will enter your invoice for time worked in the section titled I see Invoice. Depending on the client, there will be a variety of client-specific fields at the top of the screen. Unless your client manager provides you specific instructions for these fields, leave them blank. The information is often entered by the client manager at the time of approval. To enter time, begin by entering the date that you worked. Then enter the job code provided to you by your client manager. You must enter a valid job code in order for the system to process your time correctly. Enter the number of jobs worked or hours worked depending on your agreement with your client manager. If you have other job-related fees associated per your agreement with your client manager, enter them into this box. For each transaction entry, you must also enter a comment that explains the event or location that you worked. To do so, click on Transaction Comments and enter the appropriate information. Additional transactions can be entered by selecting the plus sign. This will add a new line item for entering time or fees. Expenses can be entered by scrolling down on the page. Again, unless otherwise instructed by your client manager, you do not need to enter information in the open fields at the top. One expense line should be entered for each type of expense for each day. There are 3 steps for each expense. 1. Enter the expense line item. 2. Enter comments regarding the expense. And 3. Upload the receipt associated with the expense line. It is a best practice to do all 3 steps before moving to the next expense line. To begin, enter the date and the expense code. If you are unsure of the code, click on the magnifying glass to look up the appropriate code. Once you've selected the appropriate code, enter the amount of the expense. After entering the amount, click on the expense comment to enter comments regarding the expense. Next, select the Receipt Attachment tab. Please note, expenses will not be paid without receipts. To upload a receipt, click the Upload Receipt box and attach the appropriate file. The system accepts 2 types of files for uploading receipts: PDF files and JPEG files. PDF files are common for receipts that are scanned. JPEG files are common if you take a picture of the receipt using your phone. Note, some older phones may use a different format. Most independent contractors find it easiest to take a picture of the receipts by line that they will enter. Then, email the picture to themselves from their phone and save the picture onto their hard drive, renaming it to the week ending date and expense type, making it easily available to upload when expenses are entered into the RICS system. As a reminder, expenses will not be paid unless receipts are uploaded. Contact the Client Care Team for instructions if you do not have a way to upload receipts. Additional transactions can be entered by selecting the plus sign. This will add a new line item. If you would like to view or delete the receipts, you may do so by clicking on the associated blue boxes. The plus and minus sign are also used to delete an entire expense line. Randstad will validate vendor receipts for expenses prior to payment. It is important to note that receipts must exactly match the amount submitted online for your time card to be approved and paid. Returning to the overall invoice, review the total invoice amount including transactions for time worked and expenses. The invoice may be saved or submitted for approval. Saving the invoice will allow you to return to it later in time to make adjustments. Please note, saving an invoice does not send it to your client manager for approval. You must click on Submit IC Invoice for approval for the invoice to be sent to your client manager. All changes must be made prior to submitting for approval. Once a timesheet has been submitted, it cannot be changed. Note, you should only submit for approval once all of the time, fees, and all expenses have been entered for a given week at a given client location. Once you have submitted your time for approval, you will receive an email from Randstad confirming that you have submitted your timesheet. Using the RICS system, you may also look up an outstanding invoice to view if a payment has been made. To look up a submitted invoice, select Supplier Payment Inquiry on the left navigation menu. You are brought to a search screen. You may enter search criteria such as a date or customer ID. Using the drop-down menu, you may select whether you are searching for a paid or an unpaid invoice. Minimally, you are required to search by week ending date. After entering your criteria, select Search. You are presented with a list of search results. By clicking on the Customize link, you may personalize your search results based on your preferences. You may customize both the order of the columns as well as those that are displayed. To change the order of the columns, highlight the column name and select the up or down arrow. To hide columns, highlight the field and then check Hidden. Results may also be downloaded into Excel by selecting the Download to Excel link. You have now completed the demonstration of RICS, the Randstad Independent Contractor System. If you have any questions, please contact the support team